Hi friends! Welcome to Science with Blue! Today, we will be learning about the pollination stage of flowering plants. Pollen is a fine powder made up of microspores produced by the male part of the flower. Pollen carries the male reproductive cells of plants. It is usually yellow and can make you sneeze. Some people are even allergic to pollen. Pollination is the transfer of pollen from the male anther to the female stigma of a flower. Flowers make seeds through this process. It can take place in the same flower, between flowers on the same plant, or between flowers on different plants. Self-pollination takes place when pollen from one flower pollinates the same flower or other flowers of the same plant. Plants that do self-pollination often have the same lengths of anthers and stigma. Cross-pollination occurs when pollen grains are transferred to a flower of a different plant, but of the same species. Plants that do cross-pollination often have taller anthers than their stigmas. Obviously, pollen cannot move by themselves from the anthers to the stigma. So how do they do it? Well, they rely on birds, insects, water, and wind, which act as pollinating agents or pollinators to assist in pollination. Different flowers have different characteristics depending on their mode of pollination. Petals of animal-pollinated flowers are usually large and brightly colored. The flowers also produce nectar, which gives off a sweet scent. Birds and insects, such as hummingbirds, bees, and butterflies, become attracted to the color, scent, and nectar that is produced by these flowers. The pollen grains of an animal-pollinated flower are usually in moderate amount, as pollinators transfer pollen grains efficiently. These pollen grains are usually sticky or spiky, so that they would stick on the insects or animals well as they flit from flower to flower, transporting pollen grains. Wind also carry pollen to other plants. The petals of wind-pollinated flowers are often small and dull green or brown in color. Some have no petals at all. These flowers do not produce nectar or give off any scent, as they have no need to attract animals or insects. However, they produce large amounts of pollen grains, almost billions, to increase the effectiveness of pollination, as most pollen grains do not get transferred. The pollen grains are usually smooth, light, and easily airborne. Many of the world's most important crop plants are wind-pollinated. These include wheat, rice, corn, rye, barley, and oats. The reproductive parts of the flowers also have different characteristics. In animal-pollinated flowers, the anthers and stigma are found inside the flower. The anthers are usually stiff and firmly attached to the filament. The stigma is very sticky, so that the pollen grains can easily stick to them when the pollen-carrying pollinators brush against them. On the other hand, the anthers and stigma of a wind-pollinated flower are usually found outside the flower. The anther filaments are long and loose to release pollen grains easily. The stigma is usually feathery to better catch drifting pollen grains released by other wind-pollinating flowers. The goal of every living thing, including plants, is to reproduce. Successful pollination allows plants to produce seeds. Seeds are key to producing the next generation of plants, which provide food for the next generation of pollinators, animals, and humans to survive.